this match, but it's a pretty close battle. Let's see. So he's playing the jugglers by the looks of it. Yeah, he's got like a mid-range paladin with 1 lay on hands and quartermaster.
Yeah, why is lay on hands the play often, but it just seems like I don't know. I it's not a card that I love.
It's a good question. I actually play 2 lay on hands most of the time.
Really?
It's very similar to Sprint. It's only giving you 3 cards instead of 4, and it costs 1 more mana. But paladins often play that kind of slow battle, so you have time to use a slower form of card draw, and then it's really important to be able to draw cards at some point in the battle.
All right. Isn't there better options though? That will perhaps not like make you miss your entire turn? Because you basically have to play it like when you have control of the game, kind of, right? Like
you can. I mean, it gives you healing too. So often you could have like they have 1 creature on the board, and you heal yourself so that you're not gonna die that turn, and then you'll draw into like Equality Consecrate, so you can clear it next turn.
Yeah, and just speaking of the devil itself.
All right, yeah, let's focus on the match. So we got Animal Companion already. Was that? No, there was a Knife Juggler before that. Yeah. The Misha is definitely a good animal here. It's tough to stop. It's really only going to die to a True Silver, but Shredder's decent, I guess.
Yeah, there is Kill Command in Kolento's hand and an Eagle-born. What is that called? Eagle horn bow. God, man, I gotta learn English. And yeah, it's gonna get taken down. So Misha is once again gonna be pretty hard to take down. It's gonna be at least a 2-for-1 trade. With the Consecration if Kolento really wants to go for that. But
so the Hunter deck that Tiddler is playing is the more control-oriented Hunter. It's not like the Charge Hunter. I'm fairly certain, yeah. So if he uses the Peacekeeper on the Misha here, it's kind of a good play for the immediate turn, but that will come back to be bad later. Looks like he doesn't, though.
Yeah.
It's good to save
I like that play, the Consecration. Not the best trade, of course, because it gives Tiddler another card from the Web Spinner, which he was probably happy to... not so happy to get, actually, Hungry Crab. But overall, I really like Kolento's position here. I mean, like you said, this Hunter deck is a little bit more less on the aggressive side, which is more of what I see, at least on the ladder lately. Just a control-oriented Hunter. And I feel like the Paladin right now is shaping up to a pretty good late game. I mean, just going by the hands.
Yeah, I agree. This would be the turn where you would expect the Hunter to have a high main or at least be looking at a Dr. Boom, but he really only drew aggressive cards, so he's going to run out of steam pretty quickly.
Definitely. He does have the Owl in hand, and that could come in handy against Tyrion in a couple turns here if Kolento chooses to play that. But till then, I don't know. He really needs to draw into a Dr. Boom or something to make this a little bit more of an exciting match, because otherwise it just seems like Kolento's drawn a little bit better than Tiddler has.
I don't know if it was the draws so much. This is really what you expect the Paladin battle to look like. Hopefully he would have had a high main here, but Kolento was making sure to save that Peacekeeper, so he is prepared for a big drop. It looks pretty challenging for the Hunter at this point, but
yeah.
Actually, I suppose the Consecrate was used pretty early, so if he just left all these small creatures on the board, they could survive for a pretty long time.
Yeah. And I like the Unleash the Hounds here. Simply because, you know, there's a freezing trap out. You don't want to waste that on Silver Hand Recruit. So,
is he going to play Dr. Boom?
Dr. Brother.
It's a pretty good move, obviously. It's turn 7. And then the freezing trap as well would prevent other creatures from attacking. But you could get the Dr. Boom stuck pretty decently here.
There's the high main. And this bomb can't hit the spider. Tiddler's not going to like hitting the other bomb with the eagle horn bow, but he may have to if the second bomb hits the spider.
Yeah, that's a really big moment.
So I like that. So yeah, attacking with the spiders much better first, so that there's only 1 in 3 chance that the other one gets taken down.
Yeah, that was a really smart play to know that his death rattle would go off first, so it gave it more targets, and he wasn't going to get stuck.
Top
Plays
deck.
from Kolento. Just feeling the pain on that.
Yeah. He has
Was
to
that-
know it's a freezing trap, so...
So, do you think that was actually the best play? I guess, yeah, with the Peacekeeper, too, because he could have played Tyrion on that turn. Of course, we know that Tiddler has a silence, but...
Yeah, I don't mind this. I mean, Tiddler with 3 cards in his hand, he's gonna be forced to exhaust his options really soon here. Of course, yeah, like you said, with the Peacekeeper and only with the Peacekeeper.
Wow. And he pulls it out.
Oh wow! Whoa!
Beautiful move. Yeah, that was really smart.
TiddlerCelestial, and dude, we would have missed lethal, and we wouldn't have put the graphic.
Hit Tyrion.
Yeah.
Harrison was... I mean, the Harrison play was good, but I guess that just wasn't what he needed on that turn.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to be a little salty about that being Kolento. I mean, he had so many cards in his hand, and he gets exactly everything.
Is there any other... Was there a second kill command in Tiddler's deck? Because he wasn't playing around that either, right?
He played the first...
So he knew. He was playing around everything but an owl on the...
Yeah, I mean, he got exact lethal, right? Oh, that has to be so painful. That was just beautiful, though. I didn't even see that, so great play.
Really was. And Tiddler here with the Make Mage Arena. Not the greatest draw for him, though, as he doesn't have a turn 3 play right now. 2 fireballs in hand, and not something that you really want. The Asher Drake would be nice if he had a turn 3 and turn 4, or at least 2-3 drops or something like that. And Kolento sticking with the Paladin.
Yeah, sticking with the Paladin. I mean, it is a fairly good choice against mages. It's still uneven match. It's not like two-sided one way or the other, but it was just immediately picks that again. I wonder if the frustration had any play in that, knowing that he's got to get a win with this deck at some point, but... I know
it was very close. Last game, it seemed like you said he had complete control. I thought he was making all the right plays. And then Tiddler, just out of nowhere, he's like...
Yeah.
Kohu? You know, like... But,
so this game, it almost feels similar to last game, where Tiddler's drawn a hand that doesn't look appealing, but it does have the bulk of the damage in his deck, right? He didn't draw any of the control-oriented stuff, so it's possible he could just prepare a board and then catch Kolento completely by surprise with 2 fireballs at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be pretty tilting if you're Kolento. I like the Enhancer here. I mean, he didn't really have any other play. Not sure if I like it in the deck, but I sure like it as the turns play. And last turn, Kolento played an Owl. There aren't too many targets to Owl in this deck, perhaps other than Antonidas. But yeah, I mean that gave Tiddler a turn. He was able to use his 0 power to actually get rid of the Owl and not make it look like, hey, I have nothing in my hand, but like 2 fireballs. So that was pretty decent for...
Yeah, I mean, for the Owl play, it is true that there's not a lot of things to silence. So I think it was a good play in that sense, because he didn't really have anything else to do that turn. But then keeping the Zombie Chow alive isn't very valuable. The Zombie Chow doesn't trade well with any of the mage creatures, so...
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so, I mean, Tiddler didn't exactly have a fiery start here. He had pretty much the worst start you could ask for as a mech mage. He still has some potential, but it's going to be interesting to see what he can do with a bunch of 1-drops and 2 fireballs.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Dr.
a good
Bro.
card.
Yeah, that is a good card. I mean, and the hero power here is going to get rid of the pirate as well, and all of a sudden it doesn't look too bad, but still, like, you do not want to be clearing creeps with your hand as the mech mage player. You usually want to have control of that board, and it is Kolento who will have the greater late game, who has control of the board. So I would heavily favor him in this match right now.
Oh, wow. I am so surprised that he didn't play Sylvanas there. I suppose he was worried about a second fireball on it, but having just seen one fireball, you would normally expect that to be a pretty safe play, and that would have made the Dr. Boom much weaker because you could steal a creature.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if it gets fireballed, I mean, you still kind of reset, and you know that's still going to be Tiddler's turn to use the fireball. And you still get a Dr. Boom and an empty board pretty much with two of your own minions.
He didn't play Dr. Boom either. That's even more astounding to me.
Yeah.
It was turn 7 and he chose to hero power and play 2 creatures. I think he might regret that choice now.
That is insane, yeah. How do you have 7 mana, a Dr. Boom in your hand, and then you choose not to play it? It's just crazy. It's like,
unless you're playing mind control deck.
Trying to be a hipster, man.
Well, he'll Dr. Boom now. I don't know. It's like the mage wouldn't have wanted to trade his Dr. Boom away, but the paladin will. Now the paladin has the option to do it before the mage could attack it all, which is not a good situation.
He also has the option to go face. I mean, mage doesn't have a lot of taunts, and he just drew a cock hammer. Plus, he has a consecration in hand. So he would be getting pretty close there, except the zombie chow, of course, is not going to help his cause.
So mage is at 23. He has 16 plus 4. He has 20 damage this turn. So yes, he could have got Tiddler to 20 health if he went all for it. I think I like the option to trade a little better just because there was the zombie chow there.
Yeah, exactly. It is the zombie chow that destroys all the dreams to go face.
Well, Succubus is a bit unfortunate. It won't die to consecrate. He can always trade one of the bombs.
No, which is not the worst thing. I mean, potentially putting more damage to face. Definitely putting more damage to face. 4, 3, 1, of course.
And that was 2 bombs for 1.
Yeah.
Dr. Boom showing his true colors.
Yeah, and it would still be a good card if that was the case, I think.
Well, this is really surprising how this has worked out. Now the Paladin all of a sudden is at a major card disadvantage. I guess a bunch of the cards are spare parts, but it seems like if the Mage was able to slow this down enough, he could actually come back. Paladin
that would be insane.
1 card at a time. You know, you draw a Knife Juggler or something. It's not exactly a...
It's one of the things that I hate about playing against Mech Mage. It's like they always have so many cards. I'm like, how? Like, you don't even have that much draw, but like you said, a lot of it is the spare parts. And the fact that the hero power is like just synergizes so well with the deck itself, just helping finish those minions that you're trading with your own board.
And the big game hunter showing up 1 turn after Dr. Boom is already dead. That has to be a little frustrating. Now pretty much just a dead card in this match.
Mm-hmm. Are you surprised that you would play the Cockhammer after playing Sylvanas or before playing Sylvanas?
I'm not sure. I guess in a sense you could say you're protecting Sylvanas with a taunt. That's obviously a specific play. I think it works for him either way.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't too much though that you could do against the Sylvanas with a board anyway though, except maybe you can choose to trade it into the Blast Mage, but other than that, I don't know if there's a real reason to protect Sylvanas.
We can see the pain of the Paladin's draws coming to fruition here, where he's really just playing 1 small creature each turn, but he is wearing down the Mage, so probably it will end before a recovery could be had.
Yeah, he has map control as well. We'll call it map control.
That's the StarCraft player in you.
Yeah.
This is that point where you wish you had a Flame Strike, right? You never see any mech mages play with Flame Strike. It's a bit too slow of a card, but it would just be so beautiful here to kill every creature on the board, and all of a sudden you're winning the game.
Yeah, it's a nice reset when things get out of hand, but like you said, I mean, it doesn't really synergize well with the deck, right? Like most of the time it would be a dead card. If your deck is working as you intended to work, then...
Yeah. If those 2 fireballs had went face, and then Kolento would be at 4 health.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, what do you think he gets from the Shredder?
I'm gonna guess Mad Bomber.
Oh, good guess.
That would be my... Yeah.
Wow, you're really good at that.
Thank you.
Something like an unstable ghoul would have been really interesting there, where it just forced a board clear and both players have no cards.
That would have been sweet. Unstable ghoul's actually pretty cool. Bit underused of a card, I think.
Is there anything that the mage can draw? Archmage, I guess, is really the only thing that could save him here.
Yeah.
He can avoid death by 1 HP. Oh, wait, actually, no, the weapon will kill him, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly 5.
He's done for that. Is exactly lethal. So
it was
Tiddler.
Like,
go on.
As we saw that play out, that was the way you wanted to go as the paladin, right? Where you're the one with board control, but it did get pretty close.
Bit of RNG. That's what we all like. And Tiddler, or Kolento rather, is... Now Kolento's the one on the mech mage side.
It's interesting Tiddler changed the deck. I mean, I guess he knows what he's doing, but he did have a pretty poor draw there, so you would expect that he would try again and assume he does better with it the second time. We do see the Kezin Mystic, which will be really helpful in this match. So he might have completely metagamed that, knowing that Kolento would go for a secret deck, and then he has his Druid to answer.
Yeah, Kezin Mystic is pretty good. No, it's pretty good on the ladder as well, when most of what we saw was mage decks.
Yeah, it's good when you know you're taking a secret. I mean, the value is unquestionably high. You're removing their card, gaining a card, and tempo all in a single play.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
And he has a pretty good start too. I mean, he's got an Innervate. He doesn't have to use the Kezin Mystic. Like, sometimes you get to turn 4 and you just really need to put a creature down, but in this case he has a lot of other options available.
Gets it, man.
Wow. Oh man, the Blast Mage value.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, Kolento turns this around pretty good. We'll see what Tiddler's gonna be able to recover here.
Oh, that's just the worst feeling ever. If the Shaded had 1 turn to get bigger, then the chance of it dying to that is almost none, but losing it to free value, it's gross.
Yeah, it really is. Blast Mage is just insane, man. One of the best cards in GVG for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. It's really what makes the Mech Mage synergy possible, though. I think if they... Like, hopefully they tone it down a little bit, but I don't mind it being a bit stronger than the average card, because it is a class card and it allows this entire archetype of deck to be played properly.
Yeah, definitely. It is the card that makes Mech Mage possible. And I think my spectator mode bugged out. Or is he just holding a Spectral Knight up in the air?
No, he played it.
Okay, so
the Spectral Knight is really strong here, but I mean, there's just so many creatures on the board, he's going to ignore it. Normally, you would want to like trade the Blast Mage and Hero Power to kill it, but of course, you can't attack it in any way as a mage. This looks pretty over. I thought that Kezin Mystic was going to do work seeing the Mirror Entity in the opening hand, but he just never played Mirror Entity, and now there's all of a sudden a lethal board looking at Tiddler. He can force a nature. No, I don't see any way to survive here. He has no taunts in his hand. He has no amazing removal, so...
Yeah, he's gonna have to concede. Giving the lead to Mr. Kolento, the K-God, some call him. But you really want to try to control the board with a board as well as you can.
Yeah, exactly. The Druid just doesn't have those big tempo swings like an Equality or a Blade Flurry to actually survive. Once the board gets out of control, they have to fight creature for creature, so it's easy to fall behind.
Faux shizzle.
These games have gone completely unexpected, though. Each time I've looked at the opening hand and I've said, okay, probably... Well, the second game wasn't too bad, but the Hunter game, it looked like
the Hunter game was insane, dude.
That was insane, yeah. And then that match there, with the Kezin Mystic in the opening, he had an Innervate. It looked so good, but it was just a crushing victory for the mage. So it is 1-2 for Tiddler has 1 win and Kolento has 2 wins.
Mech Rogue by Kolento, by the way. Is that a Mech Rogue?
Yeah, that's interesting. He has the Goblin Auto Barber. I'm curious if he has two of those. Let me see. He only has one Goblin Auto Barber.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I think that's a pretty good unit. It's as the body you put on a board is a 3/2. It's about as weak as it gets, but it's still a unit, and it's giving you that extra 1 damage when you really need it for a clutch Blade Flurry or something. So,
yeah, I think it's a pretty good card as well.
I have seen people use it with. This is not in Kolento's deck, of course. He doesn't have Assassin's Blade, but I've seen people use it with Assassin's Blade just to stack up that single weapon even higher. And you consider that you're gaining 4 damage from the battle cry of a 2-mana creature.
Yeah, it becomes kind of more like the pirate dude. Violet Teacher.
I like Kolento's hand right now. 2 Eviscerates. Most of the mage cards that are played have 4 to 5-ish health, so Eviscerate's really what you want to be able to deal with every creature.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, there is a Mechanical Yeti and a Lotheb and a Dr. Boom, just as we talked about that in Tiddler's hand, so not necessarily going to be the best, but for the Blast Mage, it should be a pretty clear play here to Auto Barber and to Eviscerate.
You're really losing the value of the Auto Barber because you plan to attack the Annoyatron anyways. But yeah, you do need the combo at least to just kill that Blast Mage, and now you get a 1/1, got good stuff on the board. I think a lot of the time when people play against a mage, they make a play like that where the teacher will have 1 health left and they feel vulnerable because, oh, he's just going to hero power it, right? But we can see the frustration of that play here. He has to hero power that, but he wants to play all these larger creatures. So it's actually quite a pain to have to use his mana on that turn to deal with what's left over.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point. It's something that you have to put yourself in the other player's shoes and what they want to do. It's kind of like stopping at least half the turn. And sometimes when it happens with a Loot Hoarder or something like that, like, don't feel too bad about it. Don't feel too bad about playing your Loot Hoarder if you think against something like a Mech Mage, it's going to stop more stuff from coming out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's easy to look at it as free damage, right? But they are spending mana for it, and it's rare you see a Mech Mage get all the way to turn 10. Most of the time, the game's over before that, so these early turns with the mana make a big difference.
Yeah, so efficiency in your cards, not necessarily the most important thing in matchups that don't really go all the way to the bottom of your deck.
Well, we can see Kolento's going pretty aggressive here. I guess he assumes he'll draw some cards later, and he just wants to secure board control completely. And I think that is actually a strong enough board to take on Dr. Boom, which is pretty rare that you say that. But he has a lot of damage present.
Yeah, he really does. And I mean, with a Backstab and a Super Secret Agent number 5, 7, 8 in hand, it's going to be even easier, so... Kolento looking very good.
It's getting scary. Like, if he could play all of his cards this turn, right? And you never want to do that as a rogue. You don't want to have no cards in your hand, but it looks like a pretty good play just to use everything, and then you're hoping Azure Drake, Sprint, something on the next turn, because if you drew Backstab and a Prep, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, at the same time, if you're going to play your hand against any one type of deck, I think this is where you would do it. Oh, no.
The Mana Wraith.
So yeah, it's not really misplay. You gotta play either around that or around Doomsayer.
The Mana Wraith is always kind of the sucker creature, because you can get a Summoner's Apprentice as well, which is the reverse effect of making your creatures less expensive. So it's that one creature from the Shredder that you always have to consider: do I trade the Shredder before making my play or after? Is it going to get a Mana Wraith? It's just that one thing that throws too much chaos into it to make it always safe to do one action.
Definitely. And Dr. Boom's Bomb not hitting what Kolento would have liked there, the Violet Teacher. But yeah, like I was saying, I think playing your hand against a deck like Mech Mage is not as bad of a feeling as Rogue, because there's no way that they're going to really clear it unless they run a Flame Strike with, which we just said is pretty rare.
Yeah, I mean he's doing a good job of slowing it down. If the rogue had actually drawn a dead card there, he'd be in pretty good spot. But with a sprint in hand, obviously we know Kolento has a lot more options next turn, which will open the game up.
Yeah, very nice. So he's probably hoping for a prep now. That would be the dream for Kolento to draw next turn. And yeah, Tiddler taking a little bit of board control back. Let's see how the Blast Mage does. Not that great.
At least it killed the 1/1, I guess. So yeah, I mean, he's looking at a pretty scary board. Of course, there's no Fireball in Tiddler's hand, but you have to worry about a Fireball at this point and consider trading, even though the mage only has 14 health. You don't want to accidentally die.
Yeah. Do we see the Yeti sapped? I think that's the only one, right? Because the other two have too strong of a battle cry to sap them, I think.
Yeah, I like that choice. And then also the damage gets reduced on the Cogmaster by taking off the only mech. So the Enhanso is kind of the play I look at as the thing that could save him here. If he... Well, actually, he might just be dead next turn with the Blade Flurry, but I haven't counted that completely. If he got like some Wind Fury or something to surprise the rogue... Okay, he's actually going to use it now, I guess, for taunts.
Yeah,
you got
that's
no Wind
pretty
Fury.
good.
When you look at the value of the Enhanso, I'm actually surprised we don't see it played more. It's basically a 2-mana creature that, for the extra 2 mana you're spending on it, it's giving a battle effect to all of your creatures. And you would normally consider those battle effects worth 1 mana, so with 3 creatures, it's above its value.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong card. The only problem is, of course, if, you know, it can be a dead card pretty often.
Yeah. If you don't have any creatures on the board, it's not going to be too useful.
Yeah. And Mac Flurry. Going pretty good for Kolento now. He has board control. He has his opponent at 10 HP. And a second sprint in hand.
Yeah, I think the second sap, it might not actually kill him this turn, but he's playing all of his cards, and that Yeti is going to be too slow. Getting sapped twice, it's just the most frustrating feeling. You want that creature to stick so you can actually make a trade and even get a spare part out of it when it dies, but to have it sent back to the shadows once again.
Yeah, and we got the Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil, dude. What a card.
So yeah, that's lethal, right? And then he buffs one of his dudes.
Yeah,
indeed.
Doesn't matter which one.
Well, that was a good game. I mean, there were some top decks in Kolento's favor. I mean, he played it well, but to see him go all the way to no cards, and then his very next card was a sprint, you have to think, all right, that went pretty in his favor.
I mean, that's how